LG finally started to roll out the official Dolby Vision 120Hz firmware on the LG CX for the Xbox Series. And I updated my TV yesterday evening, and straight after the update finished, I started testing and I found a couple of very interesting things. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel Amok for All. So I'm playing already since a couple of weeks in Dolby Vision and 120Hz thanks to the engineering update what I have done back then. So the software version what I've used before this version was the Series 3 3005, and Dolby Vision and 120Hz was working perfect. So in terms of the new feature, there's really nothing new to me, but what I have done, of course, I tested the firmware in a couple of games in Dolby Vision, movies and whatsoever, so I couldn't find any problem so far. And I also, of course, measured the peak brightness before and after the update, and there was a big difference. Okay, so let's talk about my findings in terms of the maximum peak brightness on my LG CX 65-inch. I measured the brightness before and after the update with my HDR test pattern, and this is what I came up before the update. And sorry, it's a little bit blurry. 706 candela, which is an absolutely normal result. I was not expecting anything else, okay? Around 700 candela. So I wouldn't be actually mad or disappointed if this is just 696 or whatever. So it was always around 700 candela, okay? So then I updated my TV, and after, it took 5 minutes or whatever, the TV restarted and I went straight into my testing. So the Xbox was still displaying the same HDR pattern, and I came up with this 772 candela. And I was absolutely surprised because I couldn't believe this, to be very honest. I measured this a couple of times. This was always the same value, okay? So sometimes 769, sometimes 7075 or whatever, but always around 770 candela, which of course is a big improvement, but I was actually a little bit surprised and I couldn't believe it. So what I have done is I turned off my TV, waited maybe a minute or whatsoever, turned it back on and did another measurement, and I came up with 734 candela, and I couldn't get anything higher. I couldn't get a higher value, not at all. Not at all. The Xbox, I never touched the Xbox settings or whatsoever. It is always the same HDMI port. The only thing what I have done is I turned on and off the TV. And this is what I came up. Again, it varies a little bit, you know, in terms of the maximum brightness or whatsoever, but around 730 candela all the time. So this is what I experienced, and I can't actually explain at this very moment what happened. No, I can't. Really, I can't. I was actually very surprised with this value, because this will be a huge step actually from around 700 candela to 770. But I really expected suddenly something can't be right. This is, I don't believe this. I don't believe this big step, suddenly this improvement. You know what I mean? That's why I restarted my TV, and I mean, I restarted my TV a couple of times now, okay? I turned it off completely from the power. I turned off my Xbox and whatsoever and tried to recreate actually 770 candela, but I'm not able at all anymore. So this is the maximum what I'm getting now with all the readings. But this is still an improvement. We're still talking about, let's say, 25-30 candela improvement, because I never had this value on a 10% test pattern before. Never. And this is actually good news. I'm not quite sure what LG did in this firmware, and of course I tried to read the official log files or whatever, but on the Australian webpage, to be very honest, there's just something mentioned with music in whatever music improvement. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but this is very good news, full stop. And what I'm going to do is I will remeasure a couple of games where I know my measurements from back then, but I have the feeling that there is not much of a difference, okay? But anyway, I will keep you posted on this. And now let's continue talking about the firmware. A couple of YouTube channels already mentioned that LG changed something on the standard settings in the gaming Dolby Vision mode. So that means when you reset the picture, so usually the color temperature here was set to medium. So now when we reset the picture, it will set back to warm 2, which of course gives you a much more accurate or closer picture. Can you see now it's warm 2 again? A much accurate or closer picture to the D65 norm. Unfortunately, this just counts for the Dolby Vision gaming mode. In the HDR10 gaming mode on my LG CX, when you set or reset the picture, it will go back to medium as it was before. So right now it's set to warm 2. Let's go to reset the picture. Let's jump back into the white balance, and now we can see it's set back to medium, which in my opinion is wrong. LG also fixed the VRR FreeSync information, what you can see here at this very moment. As you may remember, in the previous firmware, all what you got was a value up to 5.5, which of course was not very helpful. Now we have clearly mentioned the hertz, which in this case is exactly also the frames per second. And as you can see, it is working just perfect. 118.68 or 69 is the maximum value. I never seen 120 hertz, by the way. But again, the value now is perfectly displayed. I'm happy about this. Don't bother about this here, YCPCR 422 8-bit 4L8. This is right now Dolby Vision, and in Dolby Vision the Xbox is outputting in 12-bit. This is confirmed by a couple of YouTube channels already. This is just wrong information from the LG CX. Not quite sure if this gets fixed at some point, but don't bother about this, okay? The main thing or the primary thing was actually to get this value done, and this is fixed. In the previous firmware version on the LG CX, it was not possible to use Dolby Vision and AMD FreeSync Premium at the same time. This is fixed as well. All what you have to do now is turning it on. Additional settings, AMD FreeSync Premium, and just turn it on. And it's now working, and even in the 120 Hz mode. 120 Hz, FreeSync is active, and we're playing in Dolby Vision. This is working just perfect. Okay, my friends, that's already the end from the video, and I couldn't find any disadvantage with the latest firmware, the 0430.10. Everything went smooth, the update went smooth, the installation also, and my results are great, in my opinion, absolutely great. The picture quality is still the same. I couldn't find any problem at all on my LG CX 65-inch. So what I will do is I will continue testing, of course, the firmware during the next days, and if I find anything unusual, I will of course update you as soon as possible. So if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and like this video. I would much appreciate it, and now I'm looking forward for your comments. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.